Hello friends, good evening. After some weeks I have here to demonstrate some lectures on T.S.Eliot'S poetry. Especially we will look two poetry of T.S. Eliot, two poems, two long narrative poems, that is T.S.Eliot'S Four Quartets and the very famous Wasteland. The Wasteland, we all know, this poem came in 1922 with Virginia Woolf's Orlando, and another next famous piece of literature. We all know these three type of literature gave the most prominent picture of modern scenario, and we can assume that modern poetry began with these three literatures. And beginning with T.S. Eliot's Wasteland, we will conclude with T.S. Eliot. I will not conclude with T.S. Eliot's Wasteland. We will begin with T.S. Eliot's Four Quartets. Now, what four quartets in what T.S. Eliot wanted to say in four quartets, that actually four quartets is divided in four parts: Barn Norton, East Cocker, Dry Salvages, and Little Gidding. We all know that. And the main point of four quartets is the knowledge of Indian Upanishad and Mahabharata. What Krishna admonishes Arjun in Gita, in Mahabharata, it is retold, and it is told in a new fashion with maintaining the same delicate knowledge T.S. Eliot imparted to us in Four Quartets. And the part which have this knowledge is the Dry Salvage. It is the third part of the poem. The first part, Barn Norton, a very famous line of T.S. Eliot: "In my end is my beginning." That past, present and future all have the same value. Past, present and future. We all know past, present and future. We naturally we cannot assume past with our new present situation, because past is past and future is unknown. But T.S. Eliot posited these three times frame in a equal line, that past, present and future are basically they are the same. And in my end is my beginning. This knowledge is also the main point in Indian Upanishad and philosophy. So Dry Salvage also focuses on Krishna, which he admonished Arjun in the Kurukshetra battle, and these famous lines are quoted in Gita, in Mahabharata. And Dry Salvage, what content is that, the main content is that Krishna admonished Arjun that march forward, don't look at the past and don't always think of the future. Just do your duty, and everyone should do one's duty and march forward. Not you should remain in the thinking of the past, and you should not also do not think of the future. Just do your duty and let everything remain in the hands of God. So here is a beautiful quotation in Little Gidding, that history is now in England, that everything is in the prospect of the future. So we will now next move on to our next discussion in the Wasteland. The Wasteland, it is written in 1922. Wasteland has five parts: the burial of the dead, the game of chess, the fire sermon, death by water, and what the thunder said. Here, in the burial of the dead, the deracinated, dejected world of modern scenario where everyone is frustrated and no hope remains to be fulfilled. And we all know the Wasteland, the name also entitled here is that the Wasteland. The land is waste, the modern total scenario. That is, it is deracinated, dejected. It is nowhere, no hope, no future, and we are all in a sterile promontory. We are all moving here and there rapturously. Yeah, and we are in a vagabond, hopeless position. What it is totally taken the philosophy of Indian and the Western modern world, and in Westland, the burial of the dead. We have found that the clairvoyant and the seer Tiresias, whose voice is also taken, and in the game of chess, Madame Sosostris, who is Middleton Maris, and also there are a host of references from various allusions from various literature all over the world. And the fire sermon, love of the clerk and typist, no hope, no hope, no prospect, only sterile love, sexual perversion. These are taken in T.S. Eliot, Westland. Now, regarding the thunder set in T.S. Eliot, Westland, we have found that the Datta Dadbham Damato, these three words I have taken from T.S. Eliot took these words from Hindu Upanishad knowledge, same as in 4 quarters. And the last lines are the Shanti, 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 that in spite of the sterile and a hopeless position, there remains the hope which still long last at last. And up to these points, we will conclude these 2 poems. And we all know that T.S. Eliot philosophy and T.S. Eliot's the criticism we find in the criticize the critic and the Hamlet and its problems, and also many writings of T.S. Eliot's, and he also wrote dramas like the Murder in the Cathedral, etc. And we also know that T.S. Eliot, his views, his philosophizings all have remained a beautiful decider item in a modern scenario. And we will next move on to our next video in our next discussion. Up to this, thank you, good night.